The gauge, as you may or may not know, is the distance between the rails.
Okay.
That's 3 feet. This was very popular in the 1800s, but now it's all gone and replaced by standard gauge, 4 feet 8.5. The other rail's out here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So it became wider.
Yes, wider. You can haul heavier loads on it, so you don't need to run as many trains.
Okay.
You can go faster because it's much more stable.
Yeah.
It has a lot of advantages over the narrow gauge.
Yeah.
So the 2 steam engines that are in here and that yellow passenger car, plus the actual cost of the building, were gifted to the museum in 1990. A gentleman named Ward Kimball.
Okay.
His name, he worked for Walt Disney as an animator. He drew cartoons and everything. And he spent 50 years putting a huge railroad collection together. And in 1990, he gave it all to our museum. So that's how we got all this stuff. He bought little number 1 here from Hawaii. We got the Hawaiian flag on here. This and several others were used over there to bring sugarcane and pineapple in from the fields to where they were going to process it. He bought it in 1947, completely restored it, and it ran on his property out east of Los Angeles until 2005. That's the year we got it.
Yeah.
And that's the last time it ran. We're hoping to have this one running within 3 years.
Oh, okay.
We've been working on it pretty regularly, and we have to raise some more money to complete the project.
Yeah.
But we are in the middle of doing that.
To get this running, where do you get the parts?
We've got a lot of stuff in our own inventory. We have 100 acres of property here with a lot of repair parts and stuff in it. And also, all the train museums are linked together by the beauty of the internet. So we can buy and sell and trade parts as we need them.
Okay.
But it does come down to sometimes you have to actually have a whole new part built for you. And that's expensive.
Okay.
But with that big red car that we went aboard down there, part of the braking system we could not find anywhere. Even though we've got 2, 3 of the cars, we couldn't use any of it. So they had to have that built.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty pricey part of that restoration.
Yeah.
But by and large, the stuff is available.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of companies around in the country that specify in restoring old steam engines too. So they can give us a lot of stuff.
I know in China they're still using steam engine.
Right. They were building them right up till like 15 years ago, brand new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a lot of coal.
That's true.
That's fine.
But I think that even they're winding down and down. They're not using a whole lot of steam now, but they still are using steam. I know they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We got examples of all the hand tools from when the railroads were initially built by hand, because that's how they got built. No fancy machines like we have nowadays. The 2-man hand car,
Yeah.
this one is about 1910. Yep. And then the current project in this building is this truck.
Yeah.
It's a complete replica of this one. This actually existed in 1930 at the Nevada Central Railroad in northern Nevada.
Yeah.
And the guys wanted to replicate it. So about 2.5 years ago, they went out and bought a 1928 Model A truck. And then they have modified it as needed to look like that one and actually run on the rails. It's they just completed it about a month ago.
They use this to repair the trucks?
It was used to transport repair parts, right? It was also used by the Nevada Central for a short run. Maybe it would be something that they could haul that they didn't need to have a whole train to carry. So they could put it in this and run it that way.
Okay.
So it had many uses.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, around the corner, our oldest steam engine, 1881, 140 years old.
Wow.
Mr. Kimball bought this when it was about 30 years old.
Oh, wow.
He restored it, used it on his property for about 15 years. It's now been like 65 years since it was fired up. We're hoping to have this one running within 5 years. For the last 3 years, we've been working on it pretty regularly. And it's getting close.
Yeah.
It just needs more money than we have right now. Everything around here requires money.
Money, yeah.
But almost all the external things have been refurbished or rebuilt. We're going to keep this one a coal burner. We're going to be burning coal. So it's all been refurbished. What we have left to do is we have a little work to do on the firebox, and the boiler needs work.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that have to be done before we can actually fire this up and pull a train with it.
Yeah. I always thought the boilers are big.
Well,
This
the
is like
boiler is huge, but the water is in a little thin water jacket that's inside the boiler.
Okay.
So the main boiler is a big hollow space with these pipes leading into it to take the heat up there.
Okay.
That's what makes the water boil, is the heat that's inserted from the firebox into that big round thing. Yeah, a lot of people think that that big round thing is full of water. No,
That's what I thought.
Just the little jacket is.
Oh, okay.
Now these are full of water. This carries enough water to take this engine about 100 miles. Then they got to fill those tanks again.
Wow.
Yeah. Both of these are 1881. This one, of course, is unrestored.
This is your oldest so far?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
1881 would be the oldest that we have.
Yeah.
Yep. Now we have an 1880 streetcar that was pulled by a horse. It's in our storage building. It's only about half restored. It still needs quite a bit of work.
If it's pulled by a horse, it's still considered
streetcars in America. They used horses and mules.
Yeah.
And starting in about 1880, 83 in that range, they started electrifying them.
Yeah.
And with electric, but before that, horses and mules.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. They're still showing films about that on YouTube. The old films from New York, where there's a horse pulling something like this, but much smaller.
Right, right. Yeah, the one we have is it's about half the size of that one from Japan that I showed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So Mr. and Mrs. Kimball bought this in 1938, and they restored the outside, but they didn't restore the inside. So we're looking at 140-year-old wood and everything in there.
Wow.
Never been restored.
Wow.
It's
Do you apply something on the wood to preserve it longer?
No, I don't know. Now, that woodwork may have been revarnished or resealed over its lifetime, but we've never done anything to it. This is just as we got it in 1990. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's pretty well protected.
Yeah, pretty
we
good,
don't allow anybody to go in it, so nobody's touching it or anything.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like that for many years to come, I'm sure. Oh, boy. Getting warm.
Very hot.
Yeah, these buildings really get warm inside.
Yeah.